guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm very glad to have you here today. So what has been going on? A lot, but I finally have some Netflix reviews for you, and one of the reviews, one film that was recommended to me was another Hindi film called Pink. And this is actually going to be a little long-winded. I not only watched this, but I watched another film. It was actually a documentary. It was actually a documentary that kind of corresponded with this film. Now, you don't need to watch them together. It's just, I was perusing Netflix and saw this other film, this other documentary, and was very interested in it, especially since I watched the one film recommended to me, and the title, as you see in the title of my video, is called Pink. I also watched a Netflix documentary called Daughters of Mother India, and they kind of relate to each other. So if you would like to see my opinion about this and hear what I have to say, keep on watching. Alright. Okay, so as I said, I watched the film Pink. This was recommended by a couple of viewers from India that recommended that I watch this Hindi movie, especially since I like controversial films or films that have a meaning. Now, I do have some notes here. I have quite a bit of notes that I will be looking at to go over with you. And so first, kind of like the premise. So as far as like the plot is concerned, in the very beginning of the film, what we see is we see three men getting into a cab. One guy has a bloody rag covering part of his face. And then on the other hand, we also see three women hurrying in a taxi to their apartment. And they look really disoriented. They look as if they're, they look like they have something to actually do with what happened to this guy that's bleeding. So we have the women are Minal, Falak, and Andrea. Those are the three women. They actually live together in South Delhi. And then we have the three men, Dumpy, Vishwa, I'm going to call him Vishwa for short, which is what they call him in the film, and Rajveer. Those are the three men that are involved in this incident. Now, Pink, you'll see in the title or in the description that it is in regard to an assault. In regard to an assault. So Minal, who is actually the main character, I guess you could say, she is the main female that is or was targeted. She is kind of she's actually the focus of what comes to be threats against her. So Minal and her friends, they're actually a little shaken. They try to carry on with their normal life, try to ignore everything. Minal ends up going out for the very next day. She goes out, she runs every day. She goes out for a morning run, and she sees a creepy old guy he looks kind of creepy. He's just staring at her, and she's, just kind of like, what's going on with this dude over here? He's actually one of their neighbors. So anyway, what happens is these boys, they end up basically threatening the women to not say anything. Andrea, who looks like the youngest one, she ends up being stalked. Falak loses her job because these men decide to do something that's utterly revolting. When Minal decides that she is going to go file a complaint, she's actually discouraged from a police officer from filing a complaint, saying that, oh, it would make your life a little miserable. And what actually turns out is all the local police, they know that the men that they're filing a complaint against, they are well connected. And Rajveer's uncle, he actually is a powerful politician. But Minal decides to go forward and file complaint. So then what happens is she ends up being kidnapped by Rajveer's friends and I believe his cousin. Deepak, who is the creepy old guy, he actually sees what happens, but he can't do anything. He ends up he's not able to do anything. He does make a phone call in regard to it. Minal is assaulted, and then later that evening, she's told, "Hey, you need to drop these charges." And then a few days later, Minal's actually arrested by the cops. They're saying that she had an attempt to murder this guy. Saying that Rajveer filed a complaint against her and they'd been looking for her and all this other stuff. Well, come to find out, this old man that's just kind of hovering and looks kind of weird, and you when you see him, you're like, who is this creepy old guy? I mean, he kind of gives you a little bit of the creeps. Come to find out, he's been like this high-powered, reputable attorney who actually retired because he's got a decline in his mental health. I'm guessing like Alzheimer's or something along those lines. But also he's taking care of his wife, who is very ill. When the women can't afford an attorney, he actually decides to go to bat for them to go to court. Anyway, in the courtroom, the women, they are, basically what happens are the attorneys from the other side, they try to make these women seem like they have less than, basically a poor moral compass. They ask questions that in an American legal system you would never hear of. And please, my friends in India, tell me, does this really happen? I mean, the court system there is just so unfamiliar to me, and I honestly, when I watched this film, I wanted to jump through the screen and throttle the attorney for accusing these women of not dressing appropriately or not behaving appropriately or going out to drink and, thinking, oh, that's okay. These women, they're wearing, short skirts, they're having a few drinks. They must not have moral, a moral compass, and therefore, hey, they're ready to go do whatever, there's no, they don't mean no, they mean yes. Here in the United States, if a woman's told that, well, maybe you shouldn't have been wearing that short skirt because then you wouldn't have gotten raped, well, yeah, I would like to see that happen. But watching this film just kind of blew my mind, seeing stuff like that happen. And then, anyway, one of the things I want to say is I really did enjoy this movie. One of the things that I have to say that's a con is the way a lot of the filming was disjointed. There were a lot of cuts. Really a lot of jump cuts throughout the film, and so you really had to pay attention and follow along with it. I completely, these women, as for me, sitting here in the United States, wondering why didn't they just go to the cops? Why didn't they go to the cops? And then, come to find out later, that they were discouraged. Basically, they're made to feel embarrassed that this incident happened, that it was their fault that this incident happened. No, honey, it's not your fault. You did not cause this. This was not your fault. I mean, so let me fast forward to, okay, so anyway, so would I recommend this movie? Yes. Why would I recommend this movie? Because it gives us an insight into another culture, and also it kind of makes you feel empowered as a woman and makes you want to throttle people. Okay, I'm just kidding about that part. But seriously, this is a really good film. I do recommend it. Like I said, you really got to pay attention because there are those jump cuts and you're just like, whoa, what just happened? And you don't, here's the thing, you don't find out actually what happened until the end credits, which I really liked. I really did enjoy that. The film kind of leads you along and you're like, what happened? And you're getting like bits and pieces as you would, I guess, pulling information from people. You get bits and pieces. And then finally at the end, it all comes together, and yeah, so anyway, definitely recommend. But one of the things I want to say is if you watch Pink, you should also watch the documentary Daughters of Mother India. Now, this, first of all, the film Pink, it garnered such huge reception. It received multiple awards in India. It got 4.5 out of 5 stars. It leaves you on the edge of your seat, and that is one of the, for me, I like not finding out things until the end of a movie, especially in a film like this. It's actually, this was like an important film, and let me tell you why. So, Daughters of Mother India. Now, I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't like pay attention to international news, but in 2012 there was actually a Delhi gang rape. It involved a a girl named Jyoti Singh. She was 23 years old. She was gang raped by 6 men on a moving bus, and the person that was with her was also physically assaulted. It garnered a lot of attention, national and international attention. It actually infuriated women throughout India a lot. There were not just women, but men alike. There were numerous protests. There were smaller protests throughout the country. And the things is that in India, like the press, they're not allowed to release rape victims' names, so they actually named her Nirbhaya, which means fearless, and she died due to her injuries, and she actually ended up becoming a symbol of women's struggle to end rape and basically the long-held perspective of blaming the victim rather than the perpetrator. So my understanding is some of this still happens today. Now, there have been stricter laws in place. There was an anti-rape legislation that was passed. One of the in 2013, there were a lot of new laws, and there were actually fast track courts that were created in order to hear rape cases. Because one of the main concerns is like the case, it's too slow. The system is too slow to prosecute these rape cases. One of the interesting things that I found while watching this movie or this documentary, is that there still were a lot of men in India that says, hey, you know what? Women, they deserve to be in the kitchen. They don't need to be dressing provocatively. They wear saris, at work, but then once they're off work, then they dress however they want. They are not modest. So there is a stigma that I don't know if it still goes on today. I would imagine so, considering that this film or this documentary was just released. I know that there have been other rape cases even in 2016. And unfortunately, some of these victims have become younger and younger and younger. One of the things that I really enjoyed as well is the fact that you're able to see in schools, they're talking about good touch and bad touch, which is excellent, excellent. They've increased females answering 911. Well, I don't know if it's 911 or 411, whatever it is there, but they're answering these calls. There are more women that are calling the emergency line to report abuse, physical abuse from their husband, from their cousin, from their brother, from their father, sexual abuse, sexual assault, even verbal sexual abuse is being reported, which I think is very important, especially in a country that had persecuted women and made women to feel that it was their fault and that they should not approach or file a complaint if something of this nature happened to them. I mean, I guess, India won their independence from Britain in 1947, I think is what was said in the documentary. And I think if I remember correctly, probably could be wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of things. But, for it to take that long to have women garner their independence and become, evolve, just to see the cultural differences. Now, it is, for me, interesting. Now, I was in India in 2001. I was in India for 3 to 4 months. I worked for America Online, and I traveled to Bangalore to train tech support. And while I was there, I had a great time. I mean, I talked to a lot of the girls. They were still arranged marriages, but they worked, they worked in the call center. A lot of them had college degrees. They hung out together. They wore, at work they wore the salwar kameez or sari, and then off work it was jeans and a t-shirt. But I didn't see anything like too provocative. I didn't see a huge difference in the dress. Well, I did see a huge difference between American women and Indian women, because American women, some of them dress kind of slutty. But culture-wise, I mean, I love the culture. Anyway, it's just full of rich history, and there's beautiful temples and a lot of the legends and their gods. They just have such beautiful, amazing stories and beliefs, and the food is delicious. But aside from that, just for me, it seemed like a lot of the women were very independent and very strong. And then to see something like this and see that, when it comes to these types of incidents, that, they're not given a lot of, anyway, to see that there's these types of incidents that were still prevalent in that country. I know it's kind of a shock, but if you watch Pink, you should watch Daughters of India. I really give this a huge thumbs up. And I did enjoy it, and thank you for recommending the film. So I hope that you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed my review. I know it was long-winded, and I hope I was able to give you some insight into what to expect from the film, and that look it up on Netflix. It is available still. Thank you, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.